Well, hi there. My name is Dwayne Butcher. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. I'm excited to bring to you today a short webinar called Rethinking HR in the Lean Enterprise, facilitated by Cheryl Jekiel. Cheryl is author of Lean Human Resources and is certainly one of today's leading practitioners and thought leaders on the subject. So very much look forward to hearing some of her insights. Cheryl has over 20 years of manufacturing experience and has an very active involvement with the Association of Manufacturing Excellence, AME. Due to the short duration of today's webinar, we're not going to field questions, but as a note, we are going to record this presentation. So if you would like to review this later, or if you would like to share this with your colleagues, you may certainly do so. So for now, though, I will turn things over to Cheryl. Cheryl?
Thanks, Dwayne. I'm excited to spend a little time with everybody today and talk about the topic of how HR fits into a lean enterprise. In the last 6 months, while I've been studying this topic for a number of years, in the last 6 months I've become even more aware of some current both successes and current challenges in this area. So it seemed like a good topic to just open up for dialogue and share some of my ideas. And afterwards, please feel free to send back any ideas or thoughts that you have on the topic. So why rethink HR? Why this topic? And the first thing that comes to mind when I take a look at why this is so important is the high rate of failure of lean transformations or improvement projects. And so just to quote a particular statistic is 70% of transformations fail, and they fail because they don't sustain the results over long periods of time, let's say 10 years or longer. So a lot of them start up and within 2 or 3 years they might stop or stall. The fail to scale relates to how you might find organizations that it's big in one plant and not another, one division, one department, not another. So it's not a complete transformation. It's that some groups bubble up and do something, but it fails to get all the way through the organization the way it could and probably should to create the culture that would sustain it. And last, many get started and struggle to really fully launch a transformation. And so you might say, so what does that have to do with HR? Well, the other piece I've seen from repeated visits through both, I get to meet people in a variety of places that I meet or speak, and then tours that I've attended and in the conferences. I continually find that HR is often not fully involved in lean transformations. Part of this has been leading to the idea that lean HR is mostly focused on how to take lean tools and apply them to HR functioning, like how to make HR more efficient, and which I would consider a very small subpart of what lean HR is really about in terms of how lean transformations can be driven and sustained through HR practices. So that, to me, is one of the reasons that leads to the failure rate. Going forward, the other piece, a lot of people that I've talked to in the last several years, and I'm sure many of you have talked to, have said, the idea that we need to create a lean culture, that that culture change is what's required. But what we continually see is it's one thing to know that a culture change is required, but another thing is actually knowing how to actually build those improvements into daily behaviors. That's what's hard. And I've quoted John Shook here, which is one of the mentors I've had in my career, and I have a great deal of respect for. It's not, it's also becoming a more commonly held idea that that's one of the current concerns is we know culture change is needed, but how do you drive it? So that leads to the topic of rethinking HR in terms of that lean in many ways really is a talent management strategy. It's not a set of tools, it's not a way, it is a type of management system, but it's also predominantly in how people work. Some of you may not be familiar with this term, and we'll talk a little bit more about what a talent management strategy is, but in general, it relates to your entire way of how you're managing people, especially people processes. And so from here, if continuous improvement is a way of life, then talent strategies must then drive it. The idea being, if the way people are managed and the kinds of HR practices or policies you have are left the same, then you really can't be driving continuous improvement into daily behaviors on a sustainable basis. So what is a talent management strategy? Which is, to me, it's just an overall, it's a more current term for what an HR strategy is, but it refers to what the overarching structure is, not just some specific aspects of HR. It's the whole enchilada, so to speak. So the foundation of a talent strategy is based upon how jobs or roles are designed. And in a way, that's the foundation. The most important place to build in improvement practices is in actually the way jobs are designed and the way roles are constructed, partly by enlarging them. The biggest opportunity is to expand what's within a job. What I would mean for examples are building things like problem solving, process improvement, those kinds of competencies into every kind of job in the company or role, as well as making it part of how leadership competencies are developed. So it includes everything from how you select people, how you develop people, accountability systems, which would be like any kind of performance management approach, and as well as how people are rewarded. It could be how their bonus, how merit increases, or other kinds of recognition approaches all need to be aligned together and with the improvement strategy in order to drive them. And what I continue to find is a lot of organizations that are seeking to make lean transformations or do a lot of continuous improvement work have not yet really looked at how to change the talent management strategies. And then the other thing that I've been finding over time is I've been fortunate enough to meet a number of amazing professionals, a lot of them hard at work, both within the HR group and in other operational departments, looking at ways of how to grow better lean leaders, how to look at daily work, what kinds of changes are needed. But what I still find is there's a frustration with what it really takes for especially people in HR to learn enough about lean to then be able to apply it to how HR is functioning or the overall HR strategies. Many have told me, one, the whole HR group isn't all moving in one direction to support lean. They're not clear what they would need to redesign to support it. In addition, a lot of traditional approaches to training, when I'm talking to people, is they're going through traditional Kaizen approaches or other kinds of lean training, but it isn't directly focused on what would we do differently in HR in terms of how the programming is structured to make a difference. They think of it as a way to how to do things better, like how selection could be more effective, or those kinds of things, how benefits could be more effective, but not how does all of that need to be completely redesigned to support a long-term sustainable culture change. In addition, I really see that a lot of organizations that are even fairly far along in lean transformations have told me that they wish they had better access to knowing how other organizations are approaching this, because they're the ones that are even looking at talent strategies tend to be doing it more on their own instead of being able to see what other leading edge practices would be. So the benefits of being able to redesign your talent strategies are huge. That's why every time I even think about what this really would do for organizations, it's amazing what I've seen organizations get from this. One is a full engagement of the workforce. So the more you enlarge jobs and create an entire way of how employees and team members are operating, where they're contributing more of their talents, they're bringing more to their roles, they're doing more process work, they're doing more problem solving, they're more involved, it absolutely drives engagement. And it's probably not new to most of you that the idea is a more fully engaged workforce is not just a happier workforce, but you have certainly less turnover. They have been clearly shown to be more profitable and more productive in many, many ways than workforces that are less engaged. So there's a complete correlation between these kinds of talent strategies for improvement and also those that drive engagement. In addition, as I note below, is it also utilizes more of the talents. I always say that the greatest waste of all is really the talents and capabilities of people that aren't utilized in a typical workplace, even when you see a lot of lean transformation work. It's making sure 100% of your team members are in some ways more fully utilized than they might have been. In fact, if you think about it, many jobs, by just the nature of the way they're constructed, limit by the way people contribute. There's a set of tasks. People would say what's in the job description, and it'll list a set of things the person does, whether it be in the office or in the plant or in sales or any role. It's complete these tasks, and most job roles have not been defined in a way, how could we optimize what the person is capable of contributing? It's more like this is the way, the restriction of the role instead of how much the person could contribute to the overall business. So, in thinking through a lot of the comments and continuing both challenges and desires to grow and learn, we've been coming up with a way to consider how to work together more effectively all year long. So many of you might have heard of lean consortiums that operate in a regional basis. So in certain cities across the country, companies band together, and some of you on this webinar may have been involved with or are involved with in what we call a consortium that exists in that way. And companies will share the way that they grow and learn and set goals together. And as I've had these conversations across North America with different kinds of people who are interested in redesigning and rethinking their talent strategies, it became clear there would be a big gain and possibly much more success if people were more banded together to do this. So we've come up with an idea to form a virtual community. So this would be not like a webinar, this would be an interactive, engaging community that works both through an email. It would have a shared library of resources. Again, the community can decide for itself how exactly it wants to function, but it would be done virtually, because the reason for that is the companies and people I've seen most interested are all over the place. Some are in Seattle, some are in Florida, some are in Boston. They're all around the country and also in the middle. They come from everywhere. And they come from all kinds of industries with this common idea that they're trying to get to the next level of success and sustainable results, partly by redesigning how they approach their people practices. And to do that, as I said, I think it's a long-term, so these would be a longer-term learning community. They would decide for themselves what their goals are and work together, and then they would assess and impact where they're at to start with and what changes they believe need to be made. And also, quite importantly, is benchmarking best practices, both of each other. And you might find one is farther along in how they develop leaders, and one is farther along in how they've changed selection. Maybe one is farther along in an overarching strategy that's more aligned with improvement. But by being able to share these practices, they would greatly speed up the speed and really the ease of getting things in the HR area turned towards a consistent alignment towards a culture that will sustain. So this is one of the current, it's been an idea that's been developing. I've heard a lot of people interested in it. We have upcoming is the Lean HR Summit. Some of you may be going, many of you may not be going. It's not certainly a requirement that you attend the summit to join the community. As a next step, what we're going to be doing is organizing people who at this point are even just interested in exploring this idea, because the group would need to decide how often it wants to meet and how it wants to function in order to, that's really the theory of creating consortiums is they are facilitated and supported, but in the end, the community decides what it wants to get done and how to approach it. So it's creating a structure for that. So this is something we're looking to get started this summer, and interested in finding who might be interested in joining. And if not, we certainly, as the community works, would be sharing what we learn together and come up with and share it with the larger community as well. So as I said, after the webinar, interested in what all your thoughts and ideas might be, both on this approach, working together, as well as other things you might find, other specific either training or other kinds of resources that have been helpful to you. And if you share those with us, we'll share them out with the group that's on this webinar. If you're interested in just simply discussing it, it's not a decision to join, but you just want to learn more about how it would work, you can either contact Lean Frontiers, or you can contact myself at my cell or at my email, and we'll be connecting people together. We already have at least there's several several already that have said in the next couple of months that they would like to work together, partly just to connect in this journey along the way and accelerate their rate of change and success by doing it as a community. In addition, if any of you would like to receive a free copy of Lean HR, Redesigning HR Processes for a Culture of Continuous Improvement, either send Lean Frontiers a note or send me a note, and we'll put you in a drawing, and one of you will receive a free copy. And if you aren't selected, you can just send you the link of where you can order it. But I thought for those of you who have taken your time out today to even think about what are you doing with your talent strategies and the way your HR programming is put together and how well it is or isn't aligned with your improvement efforts. I wanted to give you a chance to get something out of this for yourselves. And with that, that's all I have today, and I will look forward to hearing from some of you who'd like to further explore this topic.
So Cheryl, if I send you my email, am I qualified to win a book?
Yes, Dwayne, you are quite qualified. Absolutely.
Oh, I'll withdraw my name. Well, Cheryl, thanks. It's interesting for the number of years, which we're going on 12 years now, that we've been running events in this lean space. We often talk about how, boy, it's great to have this 2-day engagement, very intense, deep engagement. But what do you do with the other 363 days of the year? So hopefully what you're proposing here will kind of address that need for a number of people, and it's certainly a need that I know exists. So certainly look forward to watching as that comes together.
There's been a lot of excitement, and not only excitement in the United States. I've had people from Australia and Britain and some other countries that have all been interested in, through a virtual environment, we're able to connect with people across the globe using a WebEx platform, and we can comfortably learn and share practices that apparently the more I've talked to people are really, the challenges are the same. They're really identical. The need to develop things more sustainable, keep it going, get the culture change fully implemented, and therefore the need that HR needs to be, rethought in how it participates and the way that it can help drive that process. Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And that community that you're talking about is really one of the reasons you're involved with AME, I think, is that community that you've been involved with for, 20 years now? Has been important. I know you've said it's been important to your own journey, and I know it has in mine as well. So,
I've definitely found connecting companies, helping each other. It's creating that community. I always call it kind of grassroots, bottom up. Connecting with each other to help each other. It just takes support and encouragement and connection for people to keep going and knowing that they're on the right path, they're making some of the right choices, get ideas from each other. When they're frustrated or stuck, help you go the next step. So there's huge benefits to connecting with others on a similar journey.
Absolutely. Well, good. I look forward to learning more about that as time goes on. Cheryl, thanks for facilitating our short session here, and look forward to seeing you next week in San Antonio. As Cheryl mentioned, next week we've got the Lean HR Summit, the 6th annual Lean HR Summit, of which Cheryl has been to each one of those. So we'll be in San Antonio May 12th and 13th are the actual dates of the summit. So I know a number of you on this webinar are actually going to be there in San Antonio, so we look forward to seeing you there. And those who are not yet signed up, it's not too late. Certainly take a look at leanhrsummit.com. You can take a look at the agenda, the travel page, the registration page. I guarantee it will be a great opportunity for networking, very much in the spirit of what Cheryl was sharing today. So we look forward to seeing as many of you there as we can. It'll be a great journey. Yes. So thanks again,
and for those
Cheryl.
of you who are there and are interested, we will be taking some time there to, we'll probably set some time aside to chat about how we might construct the community.
Maybe find another nice table with the umbrella there on the river walk.
Yeah, exactly, out on the boardwalk.
Exactly. Okay, well, thanks a lot, Cheryl. Appreciate it. And thanks, everyone, for participating in the session today. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.